Okay, let's talk about the state of the NAL, currently the standings and whatnot, and I'll do a power rankings. But first, let me show you this. I did that Fight Club video yesterday, and I didn't know which teams played which, but they announced it after I put out that video. It's going to be Team A, Team Alpha versus Team Bravo, and Team Charlie versus Team Delta, and then of course, the winner of each match will play against each other in the finals. Okay, and then also in that age video I did a little bit ago, which I still intend to do a follow-up on it, but I'll wait till the end of the stage and I'll maybe go a little bit more in depth with it. I think I forgot to mention the average age of an NAL player, and it was around 22 and 3 months or so, is around 22 and a third, give or take, 22, 3 months, 4 months, somewhere around there, if you're curious. Okay, so, right. Let's start with the standings. Oxygen remains in first place, but Sonics and Space Station are starting to gain on them. There's a little bit of a glut in the middle and a little bit of a glut at the bottom. All three of these teams have 3 points, and there's going to be important implications coming from this. And now TSM, Beast Coast, Dark Zero, all within 1 point of one another. So this has changed a little bit, which teams have beaten which teams. Now Sonics have joined Dark Zero in having beaten all of their, well, not fellow, yeah, fellow teams, or whatever, you know, all the teams that they have to fight in the NAL over the course of all 3 stages of the season. And SSG will have that chance if they can beat Dark Zero, and Oxygen if they can beat Sonics, and then XSET and Beast Coast, of course, can beat a few more teams, but I don't think that they're capable of beating all the other teams because they've played some of them and already have lost 3 times. But now XSET and Beast Coast are up to both having beaten 4 different teams over the course of 3 stages, so good for them in that regard. Right, my predictions for the last day. You'd see here I got 2 right, 2 wrong, so, you know, not the worst, not the best. I went with my heart on the Space Station versus Oxygen game and was rewarded but punished for Dark Zero versus Sonics. And I guess I'll talk about in the power rankings, the implications of this, because Dark Zero were the biggest wild card coming into the day, having played the fewest matches. Mirage versus Beast Coast was a big surprise because Mirage beat Beast Coast the last 2 times pretty handily, and then Beast Coast flipped the script and beat Mirage 7-2, and it did not look close. It was a Beast Coast feeding frenzy for sure. So, right, let's look at the upcoming matches. Of course, all the ones from day 1 through 5, I have in red if that team lost that matchup, or green if that team won that matchup. I have the points. And then these ones over here, I just started to make a few predictions, a few implication setting up for. Right, I put it in green if any of the top 5 teams, and technically they're not, Dark Zero's not in the top 5, but for the power rankings, I think they still will be. So if Oxygen, Sonics, Space Station, TSM, or Dark Zero play one of the other 4 teams, Beast Coast, Astralis, Mirage, and XSET, I'm just assuming for the purposes of seeing who will maybe win, who will have an advantage over the other teams, I'm assuming that they will win those matchups just to make it easy. So then we have to figure out what's going to go down, and then there should be all these corresponding reds, but it's just unnecessary. You can see where the greens are. Yeah, so then we just have to figure out who is going to beat whom among XSET, Mirage, Astralis, and Beast Coast, and who's going to defeat whom among Dark Zero, TSM, Space Station, Sonics, and Oxygen, because it sort of looks like those are the top 5 teams, and then the other 4 are the bottom 4 teams. Okay, so, and then I have, if they win all of these matchups if all of the top tier teams win against the low tier teams in regulation, how many points they will have. So the top 3 will all have 15. There's been a little bit of a round robin thing going on among the top teams where they've all like sort of beat one of the other ones almost. So let's look at it. Oxygen beat TSM and Oxygen lost to Space Station. Sonics beat Space Station and they also beat Dark Zero, but they lost to XSET, so that's the only little outlier in the top 5 here. And then Space Station beat Oxygen, but they lost to Sonics. TSM is slightly different as well in that they have not got a win against a top tier team yet. They lost to Oxygen and they lost to Dark Zero, but the Dark Zero loss was in overtime, the only overtime game we've seen of the stage thus far, but still they did get a point out of it. And then Dark Zero beat TSM in overtime and they lost to Sonics. Okay, so if with all this being said, if they win again all the games that it seems like they should win, it'll have Oxygen, Sonics, and Space Station all at 15 points, and TSM at 13, and Dark Zero at 14. So then it comes down to which teams can beat the other top tier teams. And then, okay, the other interesting, and I think probably this is more interesting. It looks like they're all going to do fairly well. And it's sort of looking like it's going to be TSM or Dark Zero that doesn't make it in the top 5. Of course, not necessarily, but that's sort of what it's looking like. Sonics, Space Station, and Oxygen currently have the best case. Coming up in the next play day, Sonics and Space Station both play, and Oxygen now have their bye. So this is their chance for them to catch up in points. If they don't catch up in points, that means they will have a worse record in some regard. Sonics play Beast Coast, so it seems like they'll probably win, although the Sonics were the one team that faltered against a low-tier team. And then Space Station plays TSM, which should be a killer game because that's a classic top-tier NA matchup going back quite a ways. For the longest time, SSG was number 1 in NA, and TSM was number 2 in NA. And recently, it hasn't been the most spectacular games. Like last season's game was really hyped up, but SSG just sort of handled them like 7-3, I want to say, on Chalet. It didn't look especially close, but they definitely look like the two best teams going into that game. And then SSG emerged from that game the undisputed kings of NA at that exact moment in time. Okay, what I wanted to say before, there is really a struggle at the bottom of the board. Relegations are looming. There are only 4 more play days for, all the teams, and at most 4 games for anyone except for Dark Zero, who still have 5 games because of that, because it was a little bit different for them. Okay, right. And XSET has it the worst, easily. Not only do they have the losing head-to-head against all the other bottom teams, they lost to Mirage, they lost to Astralis, and they lost to Beast Coast, which, if you're not familiar with that, what that means, if they end up tied on points at the end of the stage, the initial tiebreaker is head-to-head. So if they tie on points at the bottom with anybody, they lose. Okay, and XSET also has the hardest schedule coming up. They have to play Dark Zero, Oxygen, TSM, and SSG. The old school Big 4 in NA. These guys were the undisputed top 4 for the entire 2020 season. Like these guys were at both of the majors and the finals each time, both majors and the finals. And they all look really good right now. Like they've all faltered recently. Like Dark Zero, TSM, and SSG all didn't place very well on stage 1, but then SSG and then Oxygen didn't do that well in stage 2, but the other ones did, and they all look really good right now, except for, well, I don't know, maybe not as good as they could, but Space Station and Oxygen look super solid. TSM and Dark Zero maybe look a little bit less solid, but still strong teams. And then the other teams down here, Astralis and Mirage, still they play each other, right? So this is going to be a very important game, and it's going to be especially weird if it goes to overtime, but if it doesn't, then probably whoever wins this is going to be not safe, but relatively safe from relegation. They will have say Astralis beats Mirage, right? They will be on 6 points with Mirage and XSET both being on 3, and they will have the head-to-head against Mirage and XSET, and same thing as Mirage wins in regulation. They will be on 6 points with the head-to-head against Astralis and XSET and 3 points on them. So they will have to be, the other 2 teams would have to get at least 4 more points than the winning team gets for the rest of the stage to, knock them into relegations. Beast Coast is still, they're looking a lot better than the other teams because, of course, 6 points, and then they have the head-to-head against Mirage and XSET. So it's getting quite dangerous. Beast Coast seems relatively safe from relegations, but of course they have to play, Sonics, Space Station, Dark Zero. If they can beat Astralis, they're, I'm assuming, guaranteed not being relegated. But if Astralis beats Beast Coast and Mirage beats Astralis in the next 2 weeks, then it's gonna be super weird. Then it just comes down to if XSET can take enough points off these guys. They don't have to necessarily win, but if you lose, you're getting at most 1 point, of course, by going to overtime. They're going to need some number of points and probably at least 1 win here, unless things pan out in a really weird way. Unless Astralis or Mirage is getting absolutely destroyed, they don't win another game, then 1 overtime would be enough for XSET. But again, it's looking like it's right now. All things are pointing to XSET being relegated. If it hadn't been for this Sonics win, they would be it would be in the absolute gutter. Like, it would be really, really, really bad, and it's only really bad instead. Maybe really, really bad, right? Xset had their bye, and they're coming off of, well, actually, three coastline games, two of which they lost, one that they won, and then the bye. So they have to be fired up. Prod and MBK just got in. MBK back into Pro League. Prod just got into Pro League for the first time. And the other guys, I mean, they don't want to be relegated any more or less than anybody else necessarily. So yeah, hopefully Xset can at least deliver some good games. But yeah, no, they're gonna have to do something miraculous, right? So that's that. Upcoming games that should be really exciting. Like I said, Mirage, Astralis are really important for these two teams, so hopefully they play their hearts out, and that's a really good game. Let's see, any of the top tier teams playing amongst each other should be really good. Especially, I would say SQ Sonic or SQ Oxygen should be a really fun game. It's on the very last day, and well, we'll see how things go. But they might be fighting for like first place. We'll see what happens, because as of now, assuming Sonic's beat Beast Coast, they will then be on the same record as Oxygen. They'll both be 4-1. They'll both be on 12 points. And Sonic's even have the head-to-head over Space Station. Space Station has the head-to-head over Oxygen. And if Oxygen gets the head-to-head over Sonic's by winning that game, could be crazy. Could come down to something a bit unique. I don't know. And then, right, SSG TSM, that's probably going to be the best game of this next day. Well, but we said that last time, right? And it wasn't exactly. I think going into it, I think it is the most expected to be the most exciting game. And then, of course, TSM Sonic should be good. Dark Zero SSG is another really good one. You have Hot and Cold and Skies, who were on Dark Zero not very long ago at all. And Dark Zero has Canadian, who was just on Space Station not too long ago. So it's a bit of a switch around. So we'll see who came out worse for wear and who the new Kings of NA are going to... Well, I don't know. Dark Zero have the talent for sure to rise to the top. But for now, they are the most struggling of the big five, we'll say, these days. Okay, so... Yeah, and then... What other? I mean, that's probably about it for the like really, really good games. Oh, Auction DZ should be good too. Unless, I mean, if DZ get popped in like, well, they get popped by Xset, but if they, I don't know, if they like lose, I guess they would have to lose both of them for it to be like not as exciting. Then you're gonna assume Auction's gonna win, unless Auction also loses to Xset. No. Yeah, so if Xset boss up, they could make things, they could shake things up at the top for sure, having already beaten Sonics. Right, so I guess at this point, let's just do power rankings. I think that's the only thing I really want to talk about here. But let me think really quick before I do that. I'm gonna clear out these points. I could do more. I could just like predict all the things, but nah, it's just like too much. There's too many days left for that much speculation, I think. And then SI, oh yeah, so let me talk about SI really quick. And actually, I don't know how effectively I can do it because I don't remember off the top of my head all of it. I think Mirage are in like, there are a few places out of qualifying, so they would have to go on a crazy run to reach like top 16 SI point holders. Yeah, they'd have to go on a crazy run. It looks like they're about out. Astralis is right at the bottom. They're tied in like 15th through 17th place with TSM and a European team. G2? I don't recall. But it looks like they're probably not going to make it. It looks like that last spot is going to be snagged. Well, and again, somebody could move up. But as far as NA teams go, it looks likely that it will be Oxygen, Sonic, Space Station, and TSM. And, well, maybe Astralis or Mirage can sneak in there somehow, but probably... Oh, and Dark Zero probably, yeah. So 5 teams, and then maybe some crazy thing happens and allows for a 6th team to qualify via SI points, and then also, of course, there will be another NA team. Not necessarily one of these teams, but another NA team that will qualify through the last chance qualifier bracket. So yeah, that's SI, and I'll do like a video dedicated to that, I think, when we get closer, when the implications are a little bit less complicated and certain things are more likely or less likely to happen. So power ranking. Who is number 1 at this point? Of course, Oxygen is undisputed at the top of the standings, but that's only because they have not yet had their bye, so Sonics and Space Station have not yet had their chance to catch up. I think, okay, so, and it's weird, right? Because, again, as I mentioned earlier, Sonics have beaten SSG, and SSG have beaten Auction. So I think this is the clear top 3, but who is the strongest? Who's second and who's third? I am going to put... I think I'm going to do it like this for now. It's a little bit weird putting Sonics at 3 when you have SSG at 1 when they beat them. But, I mean, that was a few weeks ago, and SSG was still, I think, getting in the groove of things. But Sonics also lost, of these 3 teams, lost to the lowest quality team, being XSET. And, well, who was the best differential? It is Auction, but they've played another game, so it's, doesn't, you know, but yeah. Having played the same number of games, Sonics and SSG have a different differential, with SSG being 4 higher. Yeah, SSG have won more rounds and lost fewer rounds. I think I'll go with this, but probably, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily correct. Like, it could, I mean, it could probably be any order you really wanted. Like, maybe you can just say Auction is still number 1, even though they lost to SSG, because it was a narrow loss and they crushed Beast Coast. And I don't know, like, Mirage got close and Astralis was still up here. Well, but yeah, well, because Sonics beat Astralis more handily than Oxygen did, and SSG beat Mirage more handily than Auction did. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with this. What? No, maybe. Do I want Sonics in second and Auction in first? That's Oxygen have not beat. Well, okay, no, they beat TSM, which of course is a high quality team, but it is unclear if TSM is like 4th or 5th. I think I'm gonna do this instead. It's a little bit weird that it's in reverse order of their actual standing, but I'm gonna go with that. Okay, and it's just my speculation or whatever. It's based on not that much. There's a lot of things up in the air still, but I'm gonna go with that. And then 4th place, I suppose it's TSM here, right? They beat, I don't know, they've only beat Astralis and Beast Coast. Whereas Dark Zero beat Mirage. They beat... No, I think I gotta put Dark Zero still in 4th, and they're all the way down here at 6th. But and then at this point it'd be like this, right? I don't think you can fairly put any of the bottom 3 above Beast Coast at this point, seeing as though Beast Coast has 2 wins. They just popped Mirage, so there's that. Astralis is the other case, because through the last 2 stages, they were clearly a better team than Beast Coast. But yeah, I think them being up here on the standings warrants it for now. They looked good in this game, and they look good in this game. So against their closest peers at the bottom tables of the NAL, they looked very good, and then they got absolutely popped by anyone above them. But yeah, we'll have to see how they fare in the rest of their games. I think I'll do that tentatively. And then, I think I just have to do it like this. Before XSET lost to Mirage, this might have been a little bit different, but seeing as though XSET has lost to the teams right next to them, I think Astralis is still... I mean, like, in theory, they still seem like a better team than Beast Coast even, but I don't know why they're struggling this hard. I understand, you know, that they might struggle, but I don't know, it's a little bit weird. Lost 7-2 to Space Station, like, that's pretty bad loss. 7-3 to Sonics, and then, you know, they got close with TSM, they got close-ish with Oxygen. Yeah, well, they had a, what, 2, 3, 4, another 3, and 5. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. So my current power rankings for the NAL are Space Station, Sonics, Oxygen, Dark Zero, TSM, Beast Coast, Astralis, Mirage, and XSET. And I guess that's all I need to really talk about for the state of the NAL at this moment in time. More predictions to come, more recaps to come. I might do some sort of like recap on the FPL Fight Club thing. We'll see. I can't guarantee that I'm gonna like watch all of it super diligently tonight, but I'm gonna watch at least some of it. We'll see how it goes. And I have another video in the works that I've been working on for a little bit, and I've been slacking a bit, but we'll see if I can get that out. And then, yeah, in addition to those, I mean, I'll just keep coming up with more videos. If I run out of like NAL or pro topics or whatever to talk about each day. I'm gonna start doing some just gameplay, not gameplay, but like strategy stuff. I think I'm gonna do a series where I just show good spots to kill all the default cams. I sort of showed some spots when I was in the when I went through the bank changes, the clubhouse changes, and the coastline changes. But maybe I'll just do a quick run through of each map of good spots to shoot cameras from, and maybe some other stuff as well. But I think that's probably the first thing on the docket. It's something that I've already thought of, and I know I can do fairly easily. And yeah, that might be some of my daily, filler, you could say, but daily content if I'm going to keep trying to do this every day. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, hit me with the sub, hit me with the like, talk to me in the comments if you have any questions or anything you'd like to address, and specifically if you have any thoughts about content I could produce similar to what I'm already doing, or ways I can improve the content I'm currently making. So thank you for watching. I will catch you in the future.